What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. Today's video is going to be all about basically easy to use loadouts. So if you're someone who doesn't like to have to deal with a lot of recoil, or you just don't get to play a lot, so you don't get to master those recoils, this video is all for you. Focused specifically on Vanguard Royale. So I'll be going into what I think are like the top 3 or 4 weapons, and as well as how to pair them with certain SMGs, and just in general the best easy but still really good loadouts for Vanguard Royale. The first thing that matters when you're looking for a gun that's just really easy to use is recoil. You just want the minimum amount of recoil you can possibly have. So I went through the Vanguard guns and found what I think are the 5 lowest recoil weapons. We've got the Cooper Carbine, KGM40, SEG44, specifically with the 50 round mag, the Bren, and the DP27. For me, the Bren and the DP are a little bit harder to control. SCG has virtually no recoil when you build it right with that 50 round mag. Then KGM40 and Cooper Carbine are just straight up ridiculously easy to control, almost no recoil. So after getting that, kind of honed in on the ones that I want to say are the best for people who just don't like controlling recoil. And I think it's going to be the Cooper or the KGM40. Then we're going to go look at TTK charts. This is like the meta low recoil builds for all of these. So I've got Cooper Carbine, SEG, Bren, KGM40. The stats aren't on the site for that yet. But basically I left it with the default mag. It does have damage modifying magazines on TGD, but the TTK gets worse, and it has such low recoil with the default mag that I just left it default mag because I think that's the one to use. DP27 as well. And you can see looking at this that, let me shrink this a little bit so we can get it all on the screen at once. Looking at this, focusing specifically on the Cooper and the KGM40, basically the Cooper is going to have worse TTKs out at range for a little bit, as the KGM40 has longer damage range. And with attachments, you'll probably be able to extend that out to about 40 meters. So from like 20 to 40, the KG will be better than the Cooper. But it's not going to be like the Cooper's bad in that range. It still has a decent TTK. You can see that out at range, once they both have their first damage drop off and only damage drop off, the Cooper kills quite a bit faster than the KGM40. So overall, I'm leaning towards the Cooper Carbine as being the very best, basically no recoil build that you can have in Vanguard Royale right now. It doesn't hit hard, but it just has no recoil, so you can land all your shots. KGM40 will have the advantage of having better bullet velocity, though, because it doesn't have a magazine on it that's reducing that bullet velocity. The Cooper Carbine I built for no recoil, which means I use the 9mm 60 round drum, but that actually hurts your bullet velocity a little bit. So the KGM40 might be a little bit easier to hit shots at range. I think they're both very, very good. But I'm going to show you guys the Cooper Carbine build specifically, because I think it is pretty good, and I did a lot of really deep research trying to figure out what the best attachments were. I've been so busy with the website and programming and trying to get everything caught up data-wise, I haven't had time to actually work on initial and sustained firing recoil. So for this video, I really wanted to dive deep, so I went and did comparisons of all the different attachments that really change initial and sustained firing recoil, to try to balance it out. Because when you think about what you want in recoil, you want a very straight line that's consistent, and you want the rate of the recoil throughout that pattern to be consistent. So looking at the default on the left here, this is the Cooper Carbine with no attachments. You can see it has a little bit more recoil for the first like 4, 5, 6 shots, and then it kind of steadies itself out after that. But I didn't want to make conclusions based on that, so then I added tight grip. So this is tight grip right here. You can see that helped with recoil a substantial amount. The first couple shots still had a decent amount, but then after that, virtually no recoil. But this weapon also has hard scope, which is the perk that makes it so your recoil is reduced dramatically after a certain amount of time that you're ADS'd. So I did 2 things here. I scoped in and then immediately fired, and that's what this recoil pattern is. And then I did hard scope, where I scoped in for a long time and let it fully take effect before I started shooting. That's what this pattern is. So you can see even after waiting for a long time, hard scope still barely vertically outperformed tight grip. And a lot of the time when it's important, you're not going to want to wait to fire before that hard scope starts to take effect. So really, from this, I thought tight grip was quite a bit better option. It also kind of horizontally seemed to keep it together a little bit more than hard scope. Hard scope seemed to be a little more bouncy. And then brace over on the right, you can see brace did almost nothing. Like, it was just not worth using on the Cooper. All right, so then I went in and built what I thought would be the meta attachments for this gun, and I did the same thing with tight grip, hard scope, and hard scope after a long ADS period. just to see how they compared on a full meta build. And again, tight grip came out really on top here. So tight grips on the left, hard scope, immediate fires in the middle, and then hard scope after long ADS is on the right. And you can see that the recoil with this meta build that I've come up with the tight grip perk is just perfectly consistent, perfectly straight line. No inconsistencies in how fast the recoil is climbing anywhere throughout the pattern. So you should just be able to absolutely beam people with this build. Hard scope is okay, but you can see it's kind of a little bit more sway. Like there's more ADS sway for some reason in the hard scope build, which leads to a much more inconsistent recoil path as it goes up the goes up the pattern. So this is my recommended build here for the Cooper Carbine. We get the PVT or the SVT 3-6X, MX silencer, Cooper Carbine, custom barrel, the hand stop 9mm 60 round drum, stippled grip, Cooper 45 RS, tight gripped and lengthened, and that's just an absolutely ridiculously beamy build. I'm not sure we've ever really had a gun that had this low of recoil before. If you do want something that kills a little bit faster, you're definitely going to be wanting to look at the Bren and the DP27. These are the low recoil builds, but I didn't fully stack them out on TGD just because I wanted to focus on the one specific gun that I felt was the best for this situation. I'm making a little video series here, so tomorrow I'll probably do harder to use weapons with more recoil that have much better TTKs. So stay tuned for that. I'll have that tomorrow. I'm also going to do a version where I do full sniper loadouts. But now that we've covered the easy to use AR, I want to talk about what pairs well with it in terms of SMGs. All right, so what makes an SMG easy to use? Well, having reasonable recoil, having a lot of damage per mag so you can miss a lot of shots or potentially take out more than one enemy at once, having good mobility, and great TTKs. All of those things are super important in an easy to use SMG, and I believe that I've found absolutely the best SMG for the vast majority of players, and it's this Owen gun that I've got on here. So I've got the Owen gun with recoil booster, Hawkinson rapid barrel, removed stock, the 2.5x hybrid sight, because the Owen gun has that big mag that sticks off the side, and if you put the hybrid sight on there and switch to the red dot, your view goes up above that mag, so now you have a clear view of everyone and all your targets and everything after you do that. Hand stop for a little bit better recoil control, because this does have some recoil, especially with the rapid barrel and the recoil booster. 72 round drum, 7.62 Gorenko. This gives really good damage numbers on top of fire rate. So with the recoil booster, the rapid barrel, and the 72 round drum 7.62 mag, we get great fire rate. It's like almost 800 RPM. And obviously 72 rounds gives huge damage per mag. Lengthened for bullet velocity, because on the Owen, for some reason, it's a little bit bugged, and hollow point actually will reduce, like, I think it's chest or neck damage. I don't remember which exactly, but all I know is that on the Owen gun, you don't want to use hollow point because it is a little bit bugged and reduces damage somewhere that you don't want it to. Acrobatic and quick makes this ridiculously fast. And then just fabric grip is the last attachment. And you can see this TTK is nutty. I've put the Lapa, which has one of the best TTKs in the game, on there, as well as the well gun, which is also a very fast to kill gun. This is 300 health combination shots using my standard shot location percentages, premium feature on TGD. And the Owen gun just destroys everything. There's only one or two other guns that can beat this, and most of them aren't really viable in most cases, especially not for an easy to use loadout. The Type 100 is also great, that I put out a video on like a couple weeks ago, but it's just really hard to use. And there's a couple other harder to use ones that match the Owen gun in terms of actual TTK stats and things like that. So those will be coming in future videos. But for the easy to use gun, this Owen gun is disgusting right now. So 100% give this a try. All right, so I've got these two guns built out how I said, and notice that neither one of them have taped grip on the rear grip. Taped grip's the grip that allows you to swap your weapons back and forth quicker. So because we don't have taped grip, I'm going to recommend amped for this, but that's personal preference. If you are not someone that feels like they get in trouble often when they have low weapon swap speed, then Combat Scout's probably the way to go here instead of amped. But overall, I think Cold Blooded is just a smarter perk for most people. There's some other decent perks, as I covered in a recent video, but I think Cold Blooded is probably still the best. I run frags and stims. I love them both. Frags because you can kind of learn how to use them and cook them the right amount of time, and just throw them in a room and blow somebody up. They do so much damage now. Stims are really hard to use, but there's not a lot of other really great options out there. So I think even if you're trying to have an easy to use loadout, you should still run stims and try to learn how to use them. because they're just so good right now, and there's really not a lot of other great options anyway. Some of you were probably surprised that the automaton didn't make it onto my easy to control list. I think it did border on, you know, as easy to control as the Bren and the DP27, but don't worry, that'll be in tomorrow's video. It will be included. It's just I feel like it's a little bit harder to use than some of these guns, so I didn't want to put it in today's video. But that's all I wanted to cover today, guys. I spent a lot of time working on this video, so if you appreciate the content, be sure to drop a like and a comment on the video to help me out with the algorithm. And subscribe as well if you're not. Usually about 40% of the people watching my videos aren't subscribed. It's free for you, and it really helps out TGD as a whole. So if you want to do that, it'd be appreciated. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.